Hello, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're doing well. It's another day that Merry Christmas to you from wherever you are. I hope you have been having a great time. So I had a wonderful Christmas with my family, and I wish you are enjoying your holidays. So today I have a special edition for you, Rebuilding Kenya, a blueprint for transparent governance. So today we'll be discussing the vision for rebuilding Kenya, the focus on transparent governance. So Kenya ni home, as you all know, and so we mean that this is our nation, so we have to rebuild it. So this year has been we have witnessed a lot of issues from economic downfall to Gen Z revolution, which was the biggest epitome of this year. And so we'll be recapping some of the biggest happenings, events in this year. Apart from the Gen Z movement, we also noted new government positions and new CSs, new government, and a new style of government. So we'll be discussing briefly what is happening under the hood, because we have witnessed that legitimation of the government, the legitimation of the economy for war. In short, we see that the state machinery is doing everything it can to equip itself with ample. So everything is being corrected or used as a weapon for war against the population. So the domestic population, which is sad. So we'll be looking into the aim of this special edition is we aim to foster trust and accountability in governance, which is crucial for development. And so together we work towards a future where transparency is at the heart of governance. So Kenya ni home. I think this is easier. I was in Diani, and this time I was living at the Diani airport. So the issue is we're building Kenya, so we will ask ourselves in the fear of the Lord for prosperity and the fear of the Lord. So this is a Kenya Looking Glass special edition by Tech Valuepreneurs. And so here we have a contrast. Let me just minimize. So here we have a stark contrast between this, what you have here, just put the full screen. So here you have a young man and women busy at a startup, and despite the Kenya's riches, there is still also poverty. You can see an old woman there digging some sweet potatoes, and so the contrast. Kenya is rich, yet we have poverty, we have conflict, we have abductions, we have all this, we have people doing well. There are so many UNs in Kenya, so many people earning well, yet millions are sleeping hungry. Actually, the majority of Kenyans cannot meet their daily needs. So we'll be looking into all this. So the main focus for today is the economics. But before we reach there, we need to ask ourselves: will we ever have peace? And how can we attain peace? And we know for Kenya, the constitution is the fabric that enjoins or holds the people together. Without it, you have a recipe for anarchy. And it's what you see in Syria right now. So we can borrow a lesson from Syria, what is happening in Syria. So the main here we have a paradox. So we'll be looking into Kenya, a nation rich in resources and potential, faces a stark paradox. And in this sense, that despite the significant government expenditure, the pace of development remains frustratingly slow, where is a disconnect. So it's not commensurate with the expenditure, is not commensurate with the expenditure. So let's look into this. Let me just minimize the sound. Let me minimize completely. Just put it so very little, so low, so that it will not interfere. So let's see. Let me minimize my image from there. So I'll be commenting. So before we reach here, we'll look into some of these issues affecting Kenya, and from here you see that see these figures. So you see these figures. These figures, the Kenyan debt in relation to gross domestic product is dwindling. As you can see now, in this year, it dropped around 3% to 69.87. So that's a big issue right now. That as a nation, we are losing a lot. We are not growing as a nation. So it's dwindling because of the debt which we are collecting. We'll see all that. So we'll see all that. So back to the main slides. Let's see. Back to the main slides. Let's see. So this is a paradox. The expenditure. So the issue here is a cost of. So there is a cost of inefficiency, exposing the disconnect between the government spending and the development in Kenya. Kenya, a nation brimming with potential, faces a stark paradox. Despite the potential, we find that the government expenditure, the tangible development remains elusive. This development delves into the underlying factors contributing to this predicament, shedding light on the urgent need for reform. So the ordinary tax or revenue, the national government estimates to have dropped from 484 billion in the third quarter to around 471 billion in the fourth quarter. So with these figures, so it's very staggering that the revenue is dropping, and of course, so you have that, and then this is resulting in increase in wage bill, PE to ordinary revenue ratio from 29.9 around that to 34.7 around that. So this respectively. So the wage to ordinary revenue has increased. So you see wage bill to ordinary revenue so it is increasing. So this ratio is increasing. So how much we are spending on development is not commensurate. Is not commensurate with the service delivery. We have almost 1 million civil servants, but what is there to show for this? And this is a big issue now. For some counties, they spend up to 76% of the total revenue on emolument. So you see, this is the biggest issue right now we are facing. That what we have spending. And the other day you had this. Let me show you. There is a Auditor General had slammed some counties for spending zero. So the core issue here is lack of transparency. So what is causing this wage bill, as we have already seen? Maybe I show you from another slide. So that is for borrowing. So anyway, this inconsistency. So you can see from this SRC that the report stated that the public sector wage bill was anticipated to hit. So this is what was anticipated, and actually, so this year we have spent like 1.17 trillion for the public wage for our country. with such low GDP, we have been spending a lot. So for the last year, we have spent up to 1.1 years. This is up by, for just the public's wage bill, we have spent over 1.1 trillion for the last year. So this is at 29 billion despite the pay rise freeze. So there has been a pay rise freeze by SRC, Salaries and Remuneration Commission, but this has not been enough. So from this table, you can see some of the requests which have been guaranteed. Like you can see the GDP growth in nominal GDP in this year was this in millions, and so this is percentage. And then by this year, we are hitting. So this is last year 8.63, and I guess growth in wage bill is 6.36. So this is similar to this year actually. So this year, and let me show you for this year. This report, you can have a look. I'll share the links. You have a look at it. All this information is freely available in the public domain. That for this year, you can see the total request. This is the millions, which were total 52 million. So this is 52. Actually, this billions, because it's, and then you can see the trend. So 61.9. So in this short, we are spending more than we should. And of course, on the borrowing also, it's shocking that Ruto's government just borrowed 104 billion just in this month, December 2024, for the recurrent expenditure. That is just for salaries and for loans, and so this expenditure. So we see this contrast. This is not sustainable. That's the issue. You can see, like now the government received in this year, or the treasury bills bonds received 4.8. So this is in billions. You can imagine this is a billion, 4 point, so trillions. That's a lot. Huh? That's a lot, because this is a billions, and a billion is a million. So this is staggering. You can see gross domestic product grew. So domestic debt grew from 5.8 to 5.9, the debt. And then there is paying of loans and so many other. So government is borrowing more than the development. There is not much which is happening in there. So this is the main issue now. And so what do we do now? So what is causing all these issues? So one, why there is no balance between this issue. There is at the heart of this lies a critical issue of lack of transparency and accountability, and of course leadership. And so in this episode, we'll be looking into all this. And of course here is a cartoon, bribery, nepotism, and blackmail, and all that is leading. Nepotism, bribery, corruption, kickbacks. So these are some of the things. And of course also lack of transparency. Promises which were issued are not honored during the elections. And of course we'll have another video also on the abductions and other things which are going on in the country, which are very, very sad. So political elite has been compromised. So you see, as Chief Justice Murungi said, that the political elite have been so corrupt. There isn't anyone who is clean. So that is a big issue we are facing now as a nation. So this is driving the whole country back to, this is a very dangerous precedent. And so we are calling on the president in the state to redeem itself and to turn to God. Return to God. And so as all of us, we should go back to God as a nation, and thank God to end this. So, so anyway, this is all. So this is about Roman governments and how. So we'll not look more into this. So I think I had to delete this slide. But anyway, it was all about respecting. So what can we do to address this? So to attain, so to achieve sustainable development as a nation. So you see there we have mentioned promote entrepreneurship and innovation. So we should support private businesses. Anyway, the problem right now, what we are finding is that there is a fascism. So fascism, for those who don't know, is the idea of the state. Fascism, fascism. So the idea of the state trying to control everything, you see. And so you look here. Maybe I'll show you some of these figures before we leave there. Let me show you some of this from the sources before let me show you some of these sources now. So you have already seen the GDP is growing. GDP to debt to GDP is dwindling, and of course, other figures. Let's see, debt beats development, recurrent spend combined. So you see, for the July, the government spending hit over $1 trillion. So this is a big issue here we are discussing, that the government is spending more than it is supposed. So we are advocating for a leaner government. Remember, for this bloated government with a lot of there is a lot of appointments right and left, and mostly for rewarding the cronies and rewarding loyalties. So this is a problem what we are seeing in currently. Now the government is too big with little to show for that, and then it's enslaving the Kenyans. And through this oppression, through taxation, through these levies, through all this, what we are seeing right now, the government should look into how all the taxation policies which are in the country. So this is a call to the government to look into all this. So you can imagine, development was 0.002, recurrent 0.9, that others 0.1, debt 1.27. So it's this portrays a very stark picture for the country. So the high cost of debt service is a result of maturing obligation, both externally and internally, with the full year spent to hit $1 trillion. So as I had mentioned now, so this is a business daily. So you should grab a copy, and then you can find this information. You can share this link. So the spending on the debt repayment is nearly half of the projected 3.8 trillion national budget, government budget. So this is a big, grave danger. And of course, many Kenyans are wondering, how did we borrow this much? And is the government still borrowing? As you have seen, the government still borrowing right and left. Just this month, it borrowed over 203 billion, but little to do with it. And you can imagine the jump. Despite the government proclaiming and saying that the economy is doing well, they have not done any big development project. So food could be cheap, but no one is buying the food. And the government is not doing major development. Yes, so this is an indictment to the government to look into this, because, well, even if the food is cheap, but even though the food could be cheap, but there isn't anyone to buy the food, then this still leaves a big issue. So you can see July to March government spent. This is shocking. And this is where we should press the government on this article. So reducing the fiscal deficit, treasury is necessary to escalation on debt. So this whole issue of debt and development spending, you can see development spending. So 2024, 207, just 207. So 207, and then the you can imagine versus the debt. So this, go grab a copy of this delineation and read this article, you'll be shocked. And for the month, how much the government spent, you can see. You can see trillions per month. So 9-month tax collections. So this is a tax collection for this year, actually 1.53. And despite that, the expenditure on, you have seen the expenditure development is very, very marginal. Very, very marginal. So the recurrent budget, you see, it's consuming 0.90. And then others, the development, just this chunk, 0.2. And I think this is even actually too little. It's from other figures, actually. Let's see. Yeah, so we had this figure from the Daily Nation, and public wage bill has, you can see the public wage bill is growing very, very fast at a rate which is not matching with the GDP. So this should be capped at 35% or even less. That's why we need efficiency in the government right now. We need to look into issues how to resolve this. So these are some of the articles show as counties, 21 counties spend less than 10% on development. So these are some of the factors. I just want you to see before we move on to the slides. So you can see some counties spend very little, and then all the monies was spent on miscellaneous things here and there. And then, and you can imagine how much the Kenyans are being enslaved, but they are not seeing. That's why you see the other day, Nairobi, Nakuru highway, it was jam-packed. There was a lot of traffic, info agony. And then the people, they are still paying taxes, but they are receiving zero development. So in this episode, we want to delve into all this. So they had released some of the notes. So I have this documentation from government, and they had released some. What they are trying to do to reduce the public wage bill, because it's a big issue. As you can see, they spend over 1.1 trillion, and you can imagine. And then, of course, according to the Act, the Public Finance Management Act, PFM, they are supposed to spend less than 35%. And actually, that is a very big figure. Still a big figure. They should spend should give them around 25 or 30. Others, they should spend on development. If I was asked, government should spend about 25%, not even 35%. But now they are spending almost all the way to half or more. Actually, it's more from what you saw from the figure. You can imagine from that figure. Let me show you the figure again. Very little is used. Let's see. So you see, this is April 2024. But at the end of the year, this was that time. By the end of the year, the figures were quite different. So you can see 2024 government expenditure, and so this is the year to 2025. By this year, 2024 government expenditure fiscal in Kenya from fiscal year 2018 to 2024-2025 in billions. Well, you can see already this year they spent 3.7 trillion. Trillion. Yeah, so you can see government expenditure stood at 187 billion Kenya shilling, around 1.4. As of July 24, the fiscal year, government spending total 3.6. This amount included interest rates, salaries, wages, pensions, payment of maintenance, operations. Yes. So this need to be looked. This data is shocking. For a country, if you are comparing Kenya with other countries, you'll be shocked. So I had to even ask Google, GDP compared. So Kenyan GDP to GDP compared. Let's compare this. You can see here it's saying 70%. We are spending, how much you're spending is over 70 according to Google. So from these sources which has been aggregated, I think we'll have to look into all this. So compared to Speed test. Let's see. Let's check speed test. Safaricom is screwing me here, and I pay 15 Mbps. I take the lower tier, but it should be able to stream. But who is Safaricom? Let me see whether they give me a good deal. Why is it sluggish? Let's check 15 Mbps. Okay, at last. They have not ripped me much. Just maybe the... So the connection is not very bad. So anyway, back to the slides. I wanted to show you, so these are rising allowances, benefits driver public wage bill. So these allowances, everybody is claiming allowances. So you can see everybody is claiming allowances. This has risen, the allowances from MCAs. So you can imagine that's why the government bill has risen. And of course the government is trying to claim that this CBA, this open manner in which the SRC is approving request is an issue, and CBA reviews the CBA so that many civil servants are going on a strike and then claiming salary increase. So this is a Karua High Court holds Kiambu Road, which I had mentioned, and interview Kenya. So I think this is not the one. I wanted to share this. MCA's allowances climbed by 215 million to 1. So MCA allowances. This is one of the biggest issue with the wage bill, ballooning wage bill allowances. They're just seated there and claiming allowances. So only the elite and then the poor Kenyans are suffering. Poor Kenyans are suffering. You can go read this one. They acknowledge it's a problem. So, so public servants take home an extra 32 billion in year 2024. So this is a big issue. And of course, I think this brings the end of this. Let me see whether we have few slides left in our presentation. So, so is this redeemable? For sure. So that's a question we're asking ourselves, whether this we can redeem. We can only trust in God, and we can trust play that God will not forsake us. God said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from them. I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. So you can see, and of course also I recall that Galatians also, I think Galatians 6 says that let us not become weary in doing good, or at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. So we should not give up. Actually, and should continue to trust in the Lord. Actually, also in Isaiah, if I recall properly, Isaiah 26, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. So, and of course, Jeremiah also, then you will call on me and come and pray to me. I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me. When you seek me, you will find me. So these are verses to encourage us to continue to trust in the Lord. So I think, let's see whether we have few slides, more slides. So they still at hope. So this is a call to embrace change. The journey towards transparency, governance is not an easy one, but it is a journey that Kenya must embark on by embracing technology, fostering citizen engagement, and demanding accountability. So we must demand accountability, and so Kenya can unlock its full potential. So there is still we still have a hope, a vision to rebuild Kenya, where governance is transparent, resources are used wisely, and every citizen citizen has the opportunity to thrive. So what else? And of course, has God forsaken us? And then trust in the Lord with all your heart, do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your path. So these are verses to encourage us as citizens, our Kenyans, not to give up. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. So you see, so Karura is revived. I think that's bring us to the end of the slide. The government borrowed 104 billion. So this is a poll from the domestic market of the current. Is this justified? Do you believe that the current and the past government spending to comparison to development is justified? And as we go back to our initial slide, remember this was our slides that was on the expenditure, that was on the wage bill, ballooning wage bill, and the other one was this one. So increased expenditure. So it hit 1.17 trillion. So from these figures, you can see the approvals have increased. So millions spent. So very, very stark picture. Corruption being the biggest issue. Then we ask ourselves, fuel prices being still high, do we still have a nation? And so this brings an end to this documentary or this episode for today. I hope that you take part in the building the nation, and that the nation government will listen, and then we'll be able to address some of these issues. The stark paradox which we find ourselves in, we must address this. The government must address this recurrent expenditure, and this kind of borrowing which we're seeing right and left should end. So then we'll be fine. Once the government fixes this, we'll have a hope. We'll have a hope. They should look into all this, how to use productivity. Maybe this is the last one. I think we had omitted this one. And so some of the strategies we can use to manage this is through productivity. So they can measure. So through the Constitution, we already discussed that through the Chapter 12 of the Constitution and the Public Finance Management Act, PFM of 2012 provide that the public money should be used in a prudent and responsible way. The budget has a fiscal deficit of 1 trillion. So that's the issue, right? Main issue. Then it was pushed to 800 billion, now to half a trillion. And one of the reasons is because of the huge wage bill. A higher wage bill means more debt. More debt. Indeed, more wages, more taxes. All public sector institutions should, so these are the issues. All public sector institutions should rationalize their staff establishments, so as to have a fit for purpose organizational structure. So they should look into how to trim this brutal civil service. And of course, also the government should eliminate duplication and do away with overlapping mandates. Yeah, because some of the jobs we find that some of the jobs, like, do we really need all these MCAs and all these governors? We can eliminate these counties to just a few, to just 10. Yeah? Do we need all these MPs? There is overlapping from the executive to the county government. We can reduce actually the executive. So there is always actually corporations which are overlapping, Kenha and the Kurua, so many. So we should look into all that. The government should eliminate this duplication of tasks and overlapping mandates, loads, function of state corporations. Eliminate this. We should look into our constitution whether we need all these counties and national government, as well as independent officers and constitutional commission, all this duplication of laws and mandates. Then we should also public servants to take home so this is the report. So we should also look into how to use technology, eliminate manual payments. There are scary news that in some counties, they still use manual payroll. So there are still many ghost workers. And also payment for supply is also done more using manual invoicing. So we should move to automation. Everything should be automated. That's why here at Idea Africa, we work on automating some of these payrolls, and of course, using AI to track progress and to track productivity. Yes, of students, even we can look into use productivity, AI technology to track progress of staff. So they should eliminate these ghost workers and performance management, and eliminate fake certificates. So many fake degrees holders in government. This is a big issue. And of course, they should also promote effective management and professionalism and allocate adequate resources to those who are qualified and those who are there. And of course, use data science analytics. Yeah, this goes without saying that in jobs, evaluation, skills building, productivity, building, salaries and wages, allowances, linkage and evaluations and performance. Use data science. We can help in that as next gen technology. And of course, eliminate corruption. We already pointed out. And of course, it all starts with leadership. And all corporations should refine their strategic plans in line with the 35% wage bill to revenue. So the big issue here is corruption. Corruption, nepotism, even with the freezing of the pay rise or hiring, you still find the public servants. We are adding over 900 with public servants. And the issue is not public servants. The issue is the few are only earning, and most are not even attending to their desk. So let's bring the end of this video. Do take care, and we hope to catch up next time. We hope to catch up next. So see you guys, and take care, guys. Take care.